Welcome back to Relationships Rebuilt. So, guys, your wife has completely checked out on you. Have you ever felt that sinking gut feeling in your gut and you realize that the damage you've caused in your marriage and that she wants to leave you is because of your own actions? Maybe you're watching this video and it's late at night and you're replaying arguments and you just wish so much that you could take back those words you said in the heat of the moment that's caused all this pain. Now, if you're separated right now, you might be asking yourself, is there cause to hope? Is there anything I can do to win her back? But what if I told you that in this moment, all that pain, all the frustration, all the uncertainty, it could actually be a positive. It could actually be the turning point for you and your marriage. And although it's perfectly normal for you to feel lost and that you've damaged things beyond repair, your relationship is over, your marriage is over. The truth is that it isn't doomed. Nothing is, all is not lost. It's never too late to turn things around if you really want to commit to it. But it all begins with one really powerful, difficult step, and that is you taking responsibility for your own actions. So in this video, I'm diving more deeply into step one of my three-step process that will help you win your wife back after separation. The first step is really how taking responsibility is a foundation to win her trust. Secondly, to find out what makes an apology so truly meaningful so she knows that you're serious, that you really do want her back. And thirdly, to avoid the biggest trap that husbands fall into when they're trying to fix things and how to avoid them. Now, this video is part of a series, Win Your Wife Back After Separation, a three-step plan for husbands. And it's my role here to give you the tools you need to rebuild the relationship, heal the wounds, win her trust, and create a stronger and way more connected future together. But I want you to commit to this. And if you're serious, you're going to get all the tools you need to make that first step. But before I jump into it, I want you to reflect and consider what you've been doing to cause such harm to your relationship. What's the hardest part about taking personal responsibility for things you have caused in your relationship? And with men, often it's the fear of her judging you, or maybe it's being vulnerable and admitting that you've caused it and you can't fix it, or maybe it's your ego telling you that it's all her fault. Drop your thoughts or comments in below because I'd love to hear your perspective and it will help you to take the next step. So let's dive in today about responsibility and owning your mistakes. Responsibility is where many men get stuck, especially when things have got difficult. Very often you might think, I'm not the only one to blame for causing this situation, to blame for her for the problems. And that's true. No marriage falls apart just because of one person. But taking responsibility is about recognizing your part in that dynamic. It's about saying, look, I see I've screwed up. I see how those actions or lack of action, inaction can be just as bad, has contributed to create such a massive emotional distance between us that she wants out. And again, taking responsibility doesn't mean that you have to take the blame, but you've just got to acknowledge how your behavior, whether it's even unintentional, has impacted your wife and caused her to react so vehemently towards you. Now, it could be that you've been emotionally unavailable, that you've avoided the difficult, important conversations, or just been dismissive or unobservant of how she feels. Even if you didn't mean to hurt her, your actions still have those consequences and they matter. That's why you are where you are today watching this video. So I want to ask you a few questions to ask yourself as you reflect, and you may want to write them down as I go through them. Okay, because it will help you deal with responsibility and not feeling so bad about accepting that responsibility. So question one, did I avoid tough conversations because I didn't want to deal with the discomfort? Okay, that's a very common one. Tough conversations are difficult for men, especially emotional ones. Question two, did I shut down or withdraw when I saw she was upset instead of supporting her? Did I get angry? Did I blame her? Thirdly, have I dismissed her emotions, telling her, look, calm down, don't be so emotional, instead of listening to what she's trying to say and actually expressing empathy? And number four, can you honestly say to yourself that you've seen her, that you've seen her try to explain her needs, but you've been too impatient to listen and learn? So I want you to think about the moments where you may have shut down or just lashed out. Maybe you're stressed and took it out on her, Perhaps you avoided her needs because you were dealing with your own problems. And what you need to know, it's not about just blaming yourself again, it's about being self aware. Because when you own up to your actions, you're showing your spouse that you recognize the damage you've caused and you're truly committed to fixing it. But that doesn't come easily because you may have resistance in your own mind to actually dealing with the difficult situation. She may be resisting you because she doesn't trust you. So the next step is really how to address that challenge. You may just absolutely resist wanting to do it. And it's very normal to feel defensive when you're faced with negative feedback. Um, the key to moving forward is just learning to sit with that, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and to acknowledge it. And the resistance, you may go to that defensive place right out the gate when she's trying to, you're having a discussion trying to heal the relationship. Now, the first thing I always recommend is to take a beat and pause and, take a breath before you respond to any criticism that you get. If you feel that defensive instinct rising, got your gloves up, stop, pause, give yourself a moment to think about what you're hearing before you respond to it. Because very often what you hear is not, in fact, it's not what is in fact she's trying to say to you. That can help you avoid reacting with a knee-jerk response, to be over emotional, help you stay grounded and actually listen to the problem. She'll see that you're trying to do that. And if you explain it and say, listen, it's not that I don't want to deal with it, I'm trying to understand it. So just give me a moment just to collect my thoughts. Right? Try that in the heat of the moment and repeat it if need be, in a calm and unemotional way. Not because you don't care, but because you don't want to gaslight the situation by being defensive. Secondly, you need to validate her feelings and emotions. Even if you don't agree with everything that your wife might be saying to you in this situation, just show some empathy. And, just say, look, I hear that you feel hurt by my actions, and I completely understand why you feel that way. And as a tip here, if you're in doubt, repeat what you thought she said and check that you fully receive that message. Just speak it back to her and say, is this right? Is this what have I heard it right? Because I want to make sure that when I respond to you, that I'm actually dealing with what is bothering you. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, the comments are there. I'll get back to you. Number 3, shift your focus generally to solutions. Don't focus on blame. Don't focus on right or wrong. Shift it to what you can do to make things better. And if need be, ask her, look, how can we both work together to move things forward? What am I falling short on? Okay, I'm open to hearing it, and make sure that you do it in a way that makes her feel safe in stating it, because that will demonstrate that you're willing to learn and to grow your emotional intelligence. So we've covered a lot of ground today. If there's anything that you need help with, put it in the comments. I'd love to have an open discussion, and message me if you need be. It's not a problem for me to get back to you and try and help. But let's break down today, just in summary, what actionable steps you can take away, the things you can start on today. All right, so you acknowledge specific behaviors, identify those behaviors that have contributed to the problem, and instead of saying, look, I've been a really bad husband, be specific. Just say, I realize I've been emotionally distant after work. Instead of talking to you about it, I've retreated into myself. I'm checking the phone. I just retreat to the TV. Help her to understand exactly what you're acknowledging. And that in itself will make it easier for you to see how your behavior has affected her. Secondly, reflect on the emotional impact or damage you've caused her. You may not have intended that to hurt her, but the emotional wounds are there. And ask yourself, be raw and say, how did my behavior make her feel? Did she feel rejected, unsupported, or even unloved? Maybe, work stress. You come home and you're completely preoccupied. And women in particular love to get reassurance. Even though you're not meaning it, you can be physically there, but you're not emotionally there. That can drive away. And especially when things are breaking down in this situation of possible separation, you have to show up. You have to make sure that you're there for her and, to basically hear and make her feel seen. So, ask her if need be, look, if I've missed something, I'm not going to get angry. Just tell me what I've done wrong. All right? Create a safe space. Be a leader. Create the safe space for her to speak openly without feeling like she's going to be judged. And, thirdly, commitment to change. And that's not just recognizing your flaws, you actually do want to make those changes. Don't promise what you can't deliver, right? If you have to make the goal that much lower, or easier to attain, then do it. But take the small step if you can't take the big one. If you've been emotionally distant, just say, listen, I need to set an alarm on my phone so we can have a 5-minute conversation every day about those problems. If you struggle with anger, just say, listen, I need to keep quiet. I may need to step away in order to do that in the heat of a conversation because I don't want to misspeak. All right. Try and deal with, if it's difficult thing about finances, for example, and that gets heated, just say, listen, we'll have a budget meeting. We'll set aside 15 minutes to talk about that, and then we'll look for a solution. It shows you're taking responsibility and creating a much safer, more supportive space for communication. And most women will respond to that, but you have to be consistent. Those consistent actions, small actions, those will rebuild trust over time. And these are all steps that you can take today. So if you're in doubt, replay the video, ask some questions in the comments, put notes on your phone, and turn them into a daily practice. So how are you feeling? I'd love to know. So let me know, because it's just the beginning. Change doesn't happen overnight, but every step that you take is closer to rebuilding trust. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is part 1 of a series of how to get your wife back. And in part 2, I'll explore with you how you can learn how to offer a sincere apology that takes ownership of the harm you may have caused and shows her empathy, and how a heartfelt apology can go miles than a dismissive one. It can be a foundation for winning her back. And in the 3rd video, I'm going to dive in deeper on defensiveness in communication. That's an everyday male response that immediately creates massive distance with women. They don't like it. Okay, don't be defensive. So I'm going to show you how you can recognize it and stop doing it before it gets in the way of reconnecting. Okay, folks. So, if you like what you're hearing, it resonates with you, hit the bell, join me for part 2. What I've described it is tough, but it's worth it. And you've taken a massive step by showing up here. I'm really proud of you. I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't forget to subscribe, and I don't want you to miss anything, because this advice is valuable and I love to heal marriages. So let's get started on building your relationship together, and I'll see you in the next video.